Hey, what's up, everyone? I know it's Tuesday night, but just had some good fellowship yesterday, so wasn't able to make the video. But I pray that this is a video that is beneficial to your soul, especially if you're here in California, because it will be specific to that. Um, this is something that's just near and dear to my heart as a pastor in California, as a Christian in California, as a father, a husband, a brother, as just being someone who seeks to live all of life to the glory of Christ, and someone who believes that it's biblical to view all of life to his glory and applying his lordship to every square inch. This is uniquely difficult, but also uniquely fun for those of us in California. So I wanted to make this video. I've seen so many videos, so many hit pieces, so many influential people making videos about why they're leaving California, why we should leave California. And I just thought, well, this is why I'm not leaving California. And these are some things that I want to go to. I hope it's not too long of a video. It might be a little bit longer because this is, again, just something I'm passionate about. This is something that I'm excited about. This is something that I don't shy away from. If you know me, you know I'm always preaching reformation and revival in California. But enough of that. This video is not, I want to make this clear, this video is not about bashing anyone who's left or anyone who's considering leaving. Even I know there's people in our church that are considering leaving. I know there's solid brothers and sisters that have left for good reasons. I understand all those reasons. I politically speaking, I get it. I know that that's a beneficial move monetarily, politically, as far as liberty and freedom is concerned. I'm not doubting why anyone would leave California. I'm never surprised when people leave California for freer and redder states. Again, I would never bash anyone. I would never try to make anyone feel any type of way for leaving California. My only concern, my only advice is if you're going to leave California, find a local church and move there. In those freer states, in those redder states, make sure you're going somewhere where you know that there's a solid church, a church that you seemingly would fall into, fit into. Make the calls, call the pastors up, see what life is like, ask questions, really get to know, because you don't want to move across the states, across the country, and to find out that there's not real any real substance to the local church. Remember, yes, doctrine is good. Yes, we can go to the statement of faith. We can get an idea of what they believe, but there's just so much more that goes into Christianity than just holding to a confession, than just believing certain doctrines. There's a life, a vitality, a community, a family, a atmosphere, a culture that's bred in the local church. Some can have all their theology squared away, and it could be dead orthodoxy. So that's my only pastoral concern when I hear people moving and they have no idea what the climate of the church that or the area that they're going to move to. All they know that it's freer, it's redder, so therefore it must be better Christians. I'll address that in a second. But again, this video is not about bashing anyone or making anyone feel guilty or binding anyone's conscience if they're considering leaving California. That's not my aim. That's not what I'm hoping to do. I get it. I fully get it. If I don't know, if I were in different shoes, maybe I'd go too. At some point, maybe I will have to go. I don't know. Again, I'll address some of that in this video. So let me just get into the video. But again, do not shut this off just because you think this is going to be some type of bash fest on Christians who've left. This is not that. So with that in place, with understanding all why people have left, currently in California, our lives are not in danger. Currently in California, our ability to homeschool is not in danger. Currently in California, it's still safe to be a Christian. Currently in California, no one's being arrested yet for being a Christian. I know there was some things that went down in the LA area during the COVID stuff and all that. Some fines that happened. We well aware of John MacArthur, but that was happening all over the country. I've again some of the tyranny that took place in the workforce. It happened in Texas. Houston Baptist was letting go nurses, and I heard one story of a guy going to Florida, and he was let go of his job in Florida for that medical tyranny type stuff. So again, this is, in that time, it was happening everywhere. Uh, Forced, you know what, was happening everywhere. People were letting go of their job, were being let go of their jobs everywhere. That wasn't unique to California. Sure, California was a little more stringent with the masks and all that and social distancing, but you could find your way around. Me and our family, we went tons of places and never had to worry about that stuff, and we knew where we wanted to go and where we didn't. So, anyways, all that to say, we're not in danger as Christians. We're still able to do, for the most part, what we want to do. Yes, there's a lot of red tape. Yes, there's not as much freedom and, your property and building stuff and 2A type stuff. Yes, heavy taxes. Yes, money doesn't go as far in California. Yes, politics is atrocious. But none of these things, in my opinion, are worthy reasons to uproot and leave California. Now, again, that's from my perspective. Every family is free to do what they want. Every family will operate under their wisdom, under their conscience, and do what they think is best. But as far as I can tell, I want to know, especially for us who apply the Lordship of Christ and the scriptures to all of life, is Psalm 72 true? That he'll have dominion from sea to sea? Is Psalm 110 true? That he rules and he reigns, and he's on his throne? Is Psalm 2 correct? That he's the king of all the earth, that he rules the nations, that they're all his, that he will inherit all nations as his? Did Christ reconcile the world to himself? Did Christ purchase the blood, the world with his blood? Not every single person, we're not getting into that. Is the Great Commission true, where Christ says all authority in heaven and on earth is given to me? Does that apply to California? Does Christ's lordship extend to California, or does it end at the Arizona and Nevada border and the Oregon border? Is Christ king over California? Will California be footstooled under Christ? That's my question. And I say yes. And again, are there things that would cause me to leave? I'll address those in a second. But as it pertains to today, yes, again, I understand the horrendous nature of taxation, gas, and all that, but none of those things as of yet are worthy of me leaving a healthy church, leaving a healthy community, leaving a very beautiful church environment that we have, and uproot my family just so that my dollar can go a little further, just so I can exercise more 2A freedom, just so I can pay a little bit less at the pump. For me, those are things that I'm willing to sacrifice. Those are things that I'm willing to be, in a sense, constricted by, because I know ultimately those things are all things that moth and rust can destroy. Those things are all not worth comparing to the glory of the gospel and the richness of Christ and the just beautiful reality of the kingdom. I want to see that here in California. I want to see the lordship of Christ applied here in California. So are those verses true? They are true, California included. So why am I staying? Well, faithfulness to Christ. I think Christ has called me to California. I think Christ has given me a heart specifically for the area that I'm in, and I want to be faithful to that. I don't want to uproot our family and find myself battling, should I have left California? I want to see the God, why I'm staying. Again, these next points is why I'm staying. I want to see the gospel spread in California. There's so many lost souls here. We're in Nineveh. We are here in the enemy's territory, so to speak, and there's souls all around us. We are the mission field. We should start asking for missionary funds, because that's the state of work here in California. And I say that in one hand because of the homelessness problem and the nature of crime and all that. Yes, again, that's ugly. That's disgusting to see unjust aggressors against innocent parties. Yes, yes, yes. I affirm all that. But what I'm saying is, I just don't think that those things in and of themselves are, for me and our family, enough to just say, well, we're out of here. If that was the case, why would any missionary go to any dangerous part of the world? And I'm willing to say this. California, if it were its own nation, would be the second freest nation on the face of this planet, behind the United States. Maybe some other ones would rival it, Switzerland or something like that, or I don't even know. But What I do know is that there are still a lot of freedoms here in California. We still live our life as Christians here in California. I'm still not being fired for upholding a biblical worldview as of yet. These things can change, of course. But as of now, I'm staying because of faithfulness to Christ, the spread of the gospel. There's lost souls all around us, and I'm called to love my neighbors. I'm called to love my enemies as well. And if there's enemies of the gospel here, well, guess what? There's a way where the spreading of the gospel is showing love to them. I'm staying here because our church is here, our family is here, and again, I don't feel the weight of the tyranny where I can't enjoy my life, where I can't enjoy the freedoms of the United States in California. Yes, I just feel like I need to keep qualifying it. I know it's not as free as other states. I know it's not as free as other states. Let me say it one more time. I know it's not as free as other states. I know our dollar doesn't go as far, but again, those things don't compare at the moment to the surpassing worth of knowing Christ. In fact, what I see in scriptures is that we count those things as rubbish for Christ. So I'm not judging anyone who's left. I'm not passing judgment in a final sense, as if they did something wrong or sinful. Of course, we make judgment calls about everything, so I have my thoughts about it. But for me personally and our family, we just have said paying $1 less at the pump sure hurts our wallet a little bit, but is that a reason to leave? Having to wait 10 days to get to a blessing, as it were, is that worth leaving at the moment? Is the government red tape worthy causes to leave the state and uproot a healthy church, uproot healthy families, uproot the gospel as it's found in our location for those things? I don't think so. I'm not willing to turn over this state to the enemy. I'm not willing to pull the gospel light out so that darkness can continue to expand. Christ is Lord over all things, and I want his glory to shine forth over all things. I'm not popular. Our church is small. I'm not influential. I don't care about being famous. I just want to be faithful to what's before me. And I truly believe that there's not one square inch where Christ does not say mine, California included. And I've also heard that sometimes when Christians from California go to red states, what they find there is a dormant Christianity, because the Christians there are still trusting of big brother. They're still trusting of the big government. They're still caught into that soft evangelicalism, in the bad sense of the wing. They're still caught up in the American dream and cushy lives and squishy lives and just going with the flow, so to speak. So Christians leaving California with that militant mindset, with that nitty gritty mindset, with that gospel grit, they leave and they find, oh man, there's a lot of squishy Christians out here. Again, that's just anecdotal. I'm not saying that's true everywhere. I'm not saying that there's not solid believers everywhere. I'm just saying that's what I've heard people have experienced. So there are millions, I would say millions of Christians in California. There are hundreds of healthy, solid biblical churches in California. What we need is reformation and revival. We need the revival for the lost souls in California, and we need the reformation of the mega churches in California, and we need these solid biblical churches that are here to be militant minded, not taking up arms. If any weirdos listening to this, that's not what I mean. I mean militant in the spread of the gospel and the application of the gospel and the living out of the lordship of Christ, into taking all thoughts captive to Christ, into spreading his dominion every square inch of your life, and seeking to be bright lights, salt and light of the earth, even in California. That's why I'm staying, because I think that this can happen. I think that this is not just a minor possibility. I mean, look at the first century church. Look at the early church. Rome was not overthrown in a day, but the Christians chipped away even through their blood, and you have Rome turning upside down. What I see in scripture is God goes into the darkest of places and things happen there. And so what I want to say is, I'm staying in California because Christ is Lord over California, and I truly believe he can turn it around. So all these things in mind, they're not worth leaving yet for a little bit more freedom, for a little bit more buying power, for a little bit less gas prices, for a little bit more freedom in 2A and building and all that stuff. They're just not worth it for me yet. That trade-off would not be worth it for me. If it's worth it for you, you've settled that in your heart. God be with you, praying for you, hope the best for you. Live life to the glory of God wherever you are. But my mentality is, I want to be all in where I'm at. And I'm currently here, and I'm going to be all in. Come what may come, we're going all in. We're not giving the state over to secular humanists, even though they think they already have it. No, as long as there's a gospel witness here, there's hope. There's hope. And that's what I want to be, a gospel witness. I want to see the gospel spread. So that's why we're staying in California. What would move me from California? Pulling away the ability to homeschool our children, forced, you know what, regardless of where you work or who you are. If they're coming to kill us, of course. If they're freezing our bank accounts, if things like ESG, if that means nothing to you, praise God, take off. If things like climate control, they begin to monitor what we can and cannot do. I probably sound crazy to a lot of you guys, but to a lot of you guys, I hope I don't. These are some things that would cause me to leave, and where I could no longer faithfully live under Christ, where I could no longer faithfully do what I'm called to do as a Christian, where I can no longer faithfully educate my children and be in charge of my children's education. When those things begin to happen, I might leave at that point, but we're not there. And if we get there, I think that's coming for all of the states. I think if we get there, it's probably going to spread everywhere unless there's a crazy civil war, there's a crazy division of the states. If we get there, I think that might be happening everywhere. So I think if that does come, I think it's going to be crazier times anyways, and our mindsets will completely change. So here are some tips for if you love California, if you want to stay in California. Here's some tips on what I think is a creative ways to be able to absorb some of that heaviness of California. Number one, be creative with your home situation. Can you gather up with in-laws? Can you get your mind out of the American dream of having this giant house and that 6 rooms aren't even used and you're just hanging out in 3 rooms, the kitchen, the bedroom, and the living room? Could you find some way to have joint ventures? Can you buy a big piece of property and split it 6 ways? Even your church properties, can you find ways to utilize your church property more effectively where it's not just a building that's sitting there all the time? Could you work that in different ways? Could you buy a big enough church property where people can park RVs and live lives as a young married couples there to start off? Can you have capital at the right time? My parents never made that much money, but those of you that know my parents, they did a lot with a little bit in California. So I think that the California problem, it's a California mindset where they want all the entertainment, they want all the new cars, they want all the toys, they want all the hobbies, they want everything. And then they say, oh, California's too expensive. No, it's not California. It's your spending habits. So I think that to be able to be Christian in California, you're going to need to live frugal lives. You're going to need to be shrewd. You're going to need to have wisdom. You're going to need to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. You're going to need to consider the Benedict option, meaning like creating a parallel economy and tapping into this economy as much as you can, but creating a parallel economy within it. You're going to need to do more than just keeping up with the Joneses. I firmly believe that if we can get our mindset from not thinking that we need to be entertained to death and start to begin to think as the early church would, as most of the church would, as we're here for a greater purpose. We're not here for endless entertainment. So let's not spend our money like that. And they complain that California is too expensive. Maybe we should model what it is to be faithful to Christ in any circumstance. So again, those are just creative ways, me thinking, me jotting some ideas down, but that's what we've done. We have a joint living situation here. We have a little mother-in-law suite, and it lowers the rent. Obviously, we have trying to grow our own food, trying to not buy and keep. We don't have any car that's new. Us. We try to live frugal lives, and that's what works for us. I'm bivocational, probably will be for a long time. Our church doesn't have a building. We rent from another church, and if we ever do secure a building, it's going to be with more than just a Sunday morning in mind. Maybe we can use it for offices. Maybe we can rent it out as a joint working space. I don't know, but we want to be creative. We don't want to just fit into the mold. So all that to say, I'm staying in California because I think Christ is Lord. I know Christ is Lord over California. I want to see the gospel spread. I want to apply his lordship. I want to model what it is to be faithfulness in any circumstance. I want to think not just as far as what my bank account's concerned and my personal freedoms are concerned. Though I love that stuff, though I see the value in it, and I'll fight for that in California, I'm ultimately staying here because I want to see the kingdom of Christ advance. I want to sound like John Knox. Give me Scotland or I die. Give me California or I die. If you're in this with me, let's go. Let's go. Christ is able.